Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Career Evangelist podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. Andrea Wojnicki. She wrote one of the most downloaded Harvard Business Review article of all time on the one thing almost every professional dreads, and that's introducing yourself. She has coached executives at Deloitte, JPMorgan, MasterCard, and PwC. And she teaches at the University of Toronto. Guys, let's welcome the personal branding expert who says, forget just being authentic and get ready to be yourself on purpose. With that, Dr. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bola. I'm really excited to be here. I love your mission of being the career evangelist and helping people like I do in a specific way in terms of communication. But I think we're on the same team here, right? Trying to help people improve their career success.
That is correct. On
Yeah.
the same team, we have similar mission. And I want to hear from you, Dr. Andrea. You help people to introduce themselves. So how should we introduce ourselves? What is it that people are missing when it comes to introducing themselves?
So I think what people are missing, Bola, actually is a framework. But let me back up. I just want to say, just to make this real, that every single person that I meet, by the way, including myself, feels anxiety or nervousness or uncertainty about this whole idea of introducing ourselves. So I don't know about you, but my clients tell me that whenever they are in a meeting, whether it's virtual or in person, and the meeting leader says, let's go around the table or around the screen and introduce ourselves. Even when I say that, I can feel like adrenaline, right? It's like, oh, what do I say? How long should I talk? Should I mention that I just got promoted? Should I mention something personal? What if I don't talk long enough? What if I talk too long? And like our brain starts like going in circles like this. It's very unpleasant. And you realize you're not listening to one word that anyone is saying, right? So
Right.
I had this question from many of my even very successful senior leaders that I coach. And I'm a big fan of the power of three. I developed a framework. So I'm not a big fan of scripts. If you create an elevator pitch or an elevator speech, it's going to sound rehearsed and it's not going to be customized and therefore not optimized for your audience. So I'm not a fan of scripts. I am a fan of frameworks. I developed a 3-point framework, and the 3 points are present, past, future, which seems like ridiculously simple, but this works. So let me just quickly take you through. So present is present tense. So you don't start with, I graduated from university in 1995 and no. We don't need your bio. It's a self-introduction. Start with who you are and what you do now. Hi, my name is Dr. Andrea Wojnicki. I'm an executive communication coach at Talk About Talk, blah, 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 right? Who you are, what you do. Maybe even you could list some of your strengths, what differentiates me compared to other, whatever, right? But it's present tense. Then you move to the past. And this is where, in a career context, in a professional context, you establish credibility. So you could say, over the last few decades, when I've worked in whatever the industry is, I've really established several unique strengths and experiences. The first one is whatever, and you establish credibility by talking about the past. You could talk about your credentials, your strengths, your passions, your expertise, the projects you've worked on, your accomplishments, right? So it's past tense. Most people would end there, but I say step 3 is the icing on the cake. It's future. And here is where, with enthusiasm, you make a statement about the future, ideally about the person that you're introducing yourself to. So if I was introducing myself to you, Bola, I would say, I'm really looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have on your podcast. Or if you're introducing yourself to a recruiter, so you're looking for a new job, and they say, briefly tell me about yourself. At the end of your self-introduction, you say, I'm really looking forward to learning more about this job because I think based on what I've heard and read, I might be a good fit. So it's present, past, future. And this is gold. This is gold. The two challenges are remembering to use it. you just write it down on a sheet of paper right now. Present, past, future. Put it on your laptop. The next time someone asks you to introduce yourself, you've got it right there. The second thing that's challenging about it is it's not chronological. People get mixed up and they think it's past, present, future, but it's start with the present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it, Dr. Andrea. Now, just out of curiosity, is there a time limit for people to go through this introduction? Will you say it's 1 minute, 3 minutes, or is there
Yeah.
any recommendation on
Yeah.
that?
I love this question because that's part of what is in our brain, right? So Andrea, thanks a lot. You've given us this framework, but I still have the question of, am I going to talk too long or too short?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So here's the general guidelines that I would give you. I would say less is more. So you definitely don't want to be the person, if there are, 4 or 5 or more people introducing themselves and you're going in a circle, you do not want to be the person that talks the longest. In fact, the guideline that I give to people is make a rough judgment. It's not even in seconds or minutes, right? It's like that person talked, they mentioned 2 or 3 things. I'm going to mention 2 or 3 things. You want to talk at the average or slightly less than the average amount of time that everybody else is. And if you're introducing yourself first, you err on the side of brevity, right? Like if you're in a meeting that's an hour long and there are 10 people in the meeting and the meeting leader says, let's go around and briefly introduce ourselves. I would not mention more than 1 thing from the past, right? It's name, what I do, previously I, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking forward to this meeting next. Because there's 10 people there and you're setting precedence as the first person. So generally, shorter is better, and you want to speak less than the average of everybody else that's there.
Okay, that's very good. The other thing that came to my mind is to ask you, why is it important for people to learn the most effective way to introduce themselves? And I'm thinking about the present, past, futures framework that you just told.
So the reason that it's so important, and the reason that this article that I wrote for Harvard Business Review in 2022 became one of the most downloaded articles in 2023, and it's still getting a lot of traction. The reason for that is that your self-introduction is very important, right? There's all these cliches or quotes that we've heard, like a first impression is a lasting impression, or you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? And the way that I say it is your self-introduction is the most direct way for you to establish your professional identity or your personal brand. These are your words from you, out of your mouth, about you. So if anyone is going to learn anything about you or like update their judgments of you, and we are judging each other all the time, we're social creatures. We are thinking about whether you like someone, whether you trust someone, whether they're competent. Before you even open your mouth, people are already starting to make judgments about you, but they're all based on little signals. Your self-introduction is a big signal.
Yeah. So now let's you talk about be yourself on purpose.
I do.
What does that actually mean, and how is that different from the standard just be authentic advice?
So I love unpacking these definitions. Talk about cliches. There's a lot of rhetoric, if you want to call it that, or discourse out there in our culture about bringing your whole self to work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the smile in the head nod.
Yeah.
And being transparent. Why can't I be transparent? I have a very strong opinion about this. Based on, my work in personal branding and helping leaders establish a strong professional identity or personal brand, this is where I land. We want to always be authentic. Meaning we always want to be true and not be misrepresenting ourselves, but we never, and yes, I said never, want to be fully transparent. Why? Because it would be confusing and overwhelming. I mean, we just met, right? But You know that I'm a podcaster. You know what my academic background is. You know what my expertise is. I told you that I'm here in Canada. But there are so many other things about me that you don't know. Like I'm the mom of 3 kids and that I love working out and I just got my scuba diving license. And, you know, I have 2 cats that have been fighting a lot lately because one of them got outside and right. So and I'm not going to share all of that with you. Right. So I'm always authentic. What you see is true Andrea, but I'm not sharing everything with you. And this is the being yourself on purpose. So I am myself, but I'm not sharing everything that crosses my mind and every part of my identity with you. It's very empowering for people, I think, because they're worried that if they change any little thing about themselves, depending on the context, that they're not being authentic. And I say, just change your mindset here where you are always authentic. You're always the true Bola, always. But you don't share everything that you're thinking, right? That's irresponsible. It's also disrespectful, right? Because you need to act within certain social norms and expectations, right? So being yourself on purpose is about being authentic, not being transparent. And the on purpose part is in an unapologetic and disciplined way, thinking about what you're sharing about yourself.
Oh, that's so good. I like the analogy you gave us there. So now, because this is the Career Evangelist podcast, we
Yeah.
try to help people in their career. So, how should someone adopt your 3-step framework for a job interview? Let's say a recruiter or hiring manager has this question.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. How should we adapt the present, past, and future framework so that we can answer this question effectively?
Yeah. So part of the secret, it's like a big advantage that you can benefit from is memorizing this self-introduction framework and then applying it to different settings, right? So you can use the present, past, future framework. For example, if you're writing a corporate bio, you can use it in LinkedIn in the About section. You can also use it when people say it's not quite the tell me about yourself question. It's or it's not quite this introduce yourself to me question. It's more like tell me about yourself. And you're like, oh gosh, where should I start? That should be your cue. This is a self-introduction, right? Specifically, if you're in a job interview and you're just meeting either like a recruiter or actually someone who's in the HR department or whoever's interviewing you, and they say, oh, let's just get to know each other first. Why don't you tell me about yourself? Don't be like, well, I came from this company and I got fired but it was a mutual parting of ways and this happened. No. Tell them what value you can provide. Tell them what your expertise is. So you walk in and you say, my name is la 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 la. I am and then tell them about your functional and or your industry expertise, right? So functionally, are you a finance expert, a strategy expert, a tech expert, a HR person, a marketing person, a salesperson? Like what is the function in organizations? You can talk about what industry. So is it metals and mining, or is it in the finance industry, or is it in the retail industry or consumer packaged goods, right? So you get the idea. Like think about what your expertise is. And maybe it's also sector. It could be not for profit, for profit, right? So tell them what your expertise is and then say, there are many things I can tell you about my background. So that's present tense. You go to past tense. There are many things I can share with you about my background. I'm going to focus on 3 here. And then you say the first one, and you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm using my body language here. You could hold up 3 fingers. Be quite clear. I'm going to only share 3 things with you. I'm a huge fan of the power of 3. This is Andrea speaking. I am a huge fan of the power of 3. There's so much research. 3 is substantive, so it's enough that it's compelling, but it's not overwhelming, right? 4 might be overwhelming. 3 is just right. We can memorize 3 things. 3 is balanced. I've got 3 kids, right? 3 is the perfect number. So you say, I'm going to just share 3 things with you. And then you say, the first thing is my credentials. I'm making this up, but you think about what the 3 things are that you want to share with the person, right? My credentials, I did this university, I learned this, I have this license, whatever. The second thing is, over the years, I've really developed this certain expertise that makes me stand apart, blah, blah, blah. And the third thing is my leadership style, how I interact with people, I'm collaborative, whatever. So you say your 3 things, you give examples from the past, and then you say, this is magic. You say, I'm happy to elaborate on any of those 3 things, but I just want to say and answer any questions that you have, right? So you're not being evasive by moving on. You're signaling that you're happy to answer more, but you're not rambling. It's like 3 succinct things. Happy to elaborate, answer any questions you have, and then you end with the future tense and you say, I'm really excited to talk with you about this role because based on what I've heard and what I've read, I think I'm going to be a great fit. And boom, drop the mic.
Awesome. I loved it. So I'm a firm believer that communication enhances confidence. It depends on the way some people communicate, tells us how confident they feel about themselves.
Yep.
So I want to hear from you so that we can help more people here. How do you coach your clients to communicate confidence
Yeah.
without necessarily sounding arrogant, if you understand me?
Yep. This is a big concern that people have, right? It's like, I'm a little bit nervous and anxious, but I'm also nervous and anxious about sounding too confident or sounding arrogant, right? So a couple things. How do you boost your confidence? Like you said beautifully, if you work on your communication skills, you will feel more confident and you'll be perceived as more confident, right? So just working on your self-introduction. People tell me, by the way, I used to be nervous about my self-introduction. Now I'm feeling like I'm just thinking about what I'm going to say as opposed to feeling nervous, right? So that's just one example. Working on your communication skills will boost your confidence. Learning about imposter syndrome is another like magic strategy that I use for coaching my clients on how to improve their confidence, because imposter syndrome is really not a bad thing. It was actually invented from research conducted in the 1970s when they were trying to identify what distinguishes the most successful females. And it turns out, so anyway, the whole thing about imposter syndrome, I think you can turn it on your head and think of it as a positive thing. And then there are plenty of things that you can do to communicate more confidently. Physical things, right? Like slow breathing to calm your nervous system down, physically using expansive, I'm holding my arms out, expansive body language, because confident people take up space. And even in your mind, focusing on your unique strengths, reminding yourself of like a pep talk that you got from a friend. There's so many tactics. So you can do things to boost your confidence. If you don't want to appear arrogant, which is maybe you've started to acquire some of these skills and you're worried that you're going over the line. I think of it as a continuum. So you have nervous anxiety on one side, you have arrogance on the other, and in the middle you have this beautiful, perfect equilibrium, if you want to think of it that way. How do you make sure you're not moving to either side? 2 things. 1, focus on growing and learning. If you are growing and learning, you're not arrogant. Arrogant people are done learning. They know everything, right? So if you're like, if someone says something in a meeting that you've never heard and you're like, that's interesting, I've never heard that before, you're not arrogant, right? Yeah. You're open-minded. So that's one thing. Focus on growing and learning. The second thing is focusing on getting clarity on your unique strengths and expertise. So arrogant people think they're good at everything. Confident people know what their unique strengths are. And you stay in your lane. It's not that you're not learning. Again, you are learning things, right? So that's the 2 ways. It's not the power of 3. It's actually 2 ways to not come across as arrogant. It's focus on growth and learning and focus on your unique strengths and skills.
So good. So you mentioned imposter syndrome. Does it ever fully go away, or do you think high performers, do they just get better at managing it with time?
So I have a bit of a hot take on this. I think it's a hot take. I know. Talk about cliche. Everyone's got a hot take about something, right? So I don't hear other people saying this, but I do see evidence of this every day when I'm talking to executives and even when I'm observing people in the wild, in real life, right? Imposter syndrome should not go away, because imposter syndrome is what we experience when we are pushing ourselves, when we're being ambitious and we're trying new things. It is completely natural, and it's actually a good thing because it means you're pushing yourself. If you are not experiencing imposter syndrome, then I encourage you to ask yourself, am I just coasting?
So good. I like that. Thank you, Dr. Andrea.
Yeah.
So I know you have a women-only webinar coming up. Do you want to share that with my audience so that they can connect and learn more about it?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So if you go to my website, my company is called Talk About Talk. So the website, it's an easy one. It's talkabouttalk.com. You can find the information there. I'm really excited. In mid to late September 2026, I'm going to be hosting a 6-week masterclass for women only. So I do coach men, but this masterclass is for women only. There is something magical that happens when there's only women in a cohort. And we're going to be focusing on establishing your personal brand and establishing executive presence or leadership presence. So if anyone in your audience is interested in learning more, all the details are on the website. And if you want to go there directly, it's talkabouttalk.com/fall26. So it's FALL26, and the information's there.
Thank you, Dr. Andrea. I'm going to leave that on my show notes so that
Thank you.
I know more about it. So as we wrap this episode, what's one action that you would like our audience here to take this week so that they can start being themselves on purpose?
I would encourage your listeners to answer one question. And the question is, what distinguishes me compared to other people in my field who do what I do? And really to double down on that as a unique strength. And then you will probably be happier and more successful than you otherwise would.
Thank you. So let's do a quick rapid fire question section.
I'm so excited.
No, you've shared tons of information, so I'd like to quickly grab more from you before we end the episode. So, elevator pitch or handshake first? Which one?
Sorry, elevator pitch or handshake?
Yeah.
Handshake. And no elevator pitch. There's no elevator pitch. Use the framework. There's no rehearsed pitch.
Okay. So, Zoom intro or in-person intro, which is harder?
Harder?
Yeah.
Ooh. If I had to guess, I'd say a Zoom intro, but in some ways it's also easier, right? That's a tough one. I gotta be honest. It's a really tough one.
Okay.
Zoom's probably harder because you don't have full visibility.
Okay. So if you could ban one word from every tell me about yourself answer, what word would you ban?
If I could ban a word?
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a very good question. It would be... Oh, you're going to have to edit this part of this.
So tell me about yourself. People begin to, different how people typically answer this question. Maybe they'll start talking about past more than present, or maybe they need to change that framework and just follow the present, past, future framework. I think I like what you laid out for us.
Yeah,
So
the thing that I would encourage people to avoid is I started my career in ... No, that is not what we asked. We can check LinkedIn and see your career. We can read your CV. We're not asking you to read your epic bio. Do not start with my career started when I blah, 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 graduated. No, it's who I am and what I do and what my strengths are. Yes.
Okay. I like it. Thank you. So, two more.
Okay. I love this.
Best career advice you've ever received.
The best career advice that I ever received was write something every day.
Write something every day. Okay, I like that. So, finally, I know you're in Canada,
Yes.
Harvard or Toronto. Pick a favorite classroom moment.
A favorite classroom moment? Oh, wow. Was um, my favorite classroom moment was actually when I was an MBA student at York University, and I was part-time student. Quick background. This is not very rapid fire. I was a part-time MBA student doing 3-hour classes in the evening, and I remember looking at the teacher, Professor Ellen Oster, and thinking, she's really smart. I'm sitting here pretending to listen while I'm doing work. I need to close my book and listen to her. And that was when I was like, I learned this insight about like focusing on what you're doing and not multitasking. And then I ended up having a teacher-student relationship that evolved into a mentor relationship and now a friendship with that exact professor. And that was over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, actually.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the power of focus. I'm practicing that as a matter of fact.
yeah,
Myself. I multitask from time to time, and I know it's not the most productive way to get things done. So the power of focus, I love it. Thank you
yeah.
very much, Dr. Andrea. I enjoyed this conversation, and I know my listeners, they are going to find it very, very beneficial. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much. And again, I love what you're doing with the Career Evangelist podcast, and you are a great interviewer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.